What is up, guys? This is the Gaming Archive 19 here, finally bringing you my first impressions. Well, not really first impressions considering how much I've played the game, but how about we just say like a reviewing process of Far Cry 4. So yeah, I've played Far Cry 4 now for about well over 10 hours, definitely, maybe even more, because I've personally lost count. Like, I've played this game so much because I've just been enjoying it, and yeah, I just want to share my first thoughts on the game, and yeah, just say where I think if I think it's, you know, a really the next gen Far Cry that we were promised, and whether I still think it's a good game. Um, so yeah, just be aware, after playing 10 hours like the story, I'm still not even halfway through it because I haven't even unlocked the north part of the map yet. So unfortunately, I still haven't done much of the story. But what I can say so far as the story's good. I wouldn't say the story is as good as Far Cry 3's though, but then yeah, again, I think that was because Far Cry 3 story went in some really mature themes, like, you know, implied rape, a lot of nudity, drugs, and a lot of other stuff that I really don't want to talk about. But yeah, so you know, I knew the story wasn't going to be as good because I knew Ubisoft wouldn't go down that line again because it wouldn't fit the setting of Karat, you know, just being this peaceful country with, you know, a lot of wildlife and things like that. So I knew the story wouldn't fit that, but it's pretty good so far. The characters that I've met are also pretty darn well acted. I mean, I like the two lead rebel fighters, which are Amita and Sabal. You know, they are such good characters. Like, the acting in them is brilliant. It's just a shame that your main character isn't that good. But then yet again, he's a vast improvement on Jason Brody. Considering that he makes Jason Brody basically look like a piece of shit by how the main protagonist acts. So the story is that basically you go back to Karat, you scatter your mother's ashes, and then you get caught up in a civil war. Pagan Min has something to do with your family. I'm not sure what he has to do with your family just yet, but I guess I'm gonna have to find that out soon. Because, like I said, I'm not even halfway through the story, and I've already played like well over a dozen hours of the game, and so I've still got a lot to discover. But yeah, the game just feels really fun. In terms of presentation, the game looks phenomenal. Like, the graphics on this game are pretty stellar. I mean, I think the most noticeable thing is the brilliant frame rate. I mean, this game, for frame rate, is probably one of the best I've ever seen. And if you need some, like, convincing as to why the frame rate for this game is so good, it's only 30 frames per second, which I know would put some people off, but the game it always sticks on 30. Like, I can only think of about 3 times when when the frame rate went below that, and all those times were in the first, I think, hour of the game. So ever since then, it hasn't gone down on me whatsoever, and the game's been pretty good, pretty rock solid performance. Like, the open world is absolutely beautiful. I mean, you'll see now from me driving around in the car that I have or whatever. Like, the game looks brilliant. Like, it's such a dense and diverse place that, like, I still think this world's probably going to take me well over 50 hours to fully discover. Because, you know, I was such a big fan of Far Cry 3's open world. I wasn't sure if Far Cry 4 was going to do it, but right now, I would say in terms of open world, this game just looks brilliant. For gameplay, the gameplay is pretty similar to Far Cry 3's, but I think because they've added so much new stuff onto it, it ultimately stops it from feeling the same. That's the impression that I get, because I've heard so many people say, "Oh, the gameplay is too similar. It's just like Far Cry 3." You've got to think though, Far Cry 3's gameplay was so good because it knew how to mix itself between a action first-person shooter and a stealth game, and that's basically what Far Cry 4 does. And does it do it well? Yes. And did Far Cry 3 do it well? Yes. So I think all we can say really is that, you know, we're doing. It's not bad. The gameplay isn't. It's definitely got some areas it needs to improve on, but it's still pretty stellar and is up there with some of the best gameplay mechanics I've seen in a while. Um, but yeah, the gameplay is just really good. The guns are all really good. The new moves you can do, like the vehicle takedowns and cover takedowns, and being able to do all kinds of crazy shit, and also fly choppers and elephants. It's all new, and I think there's enough stuff in there to, you know, entertain people who have played Far Cry 3 and want something new. Sure, it's still the same game, just ported, but there's so much new stuff that really distracts you and keeps you from believing that this is like a true next gen game, which I think it is. Like currently at the moment, I'd probably give this game a 9 out of 10. Like it's really good. I'd probably say so far it's the best non-remastered game you can get for the PlayStation 4, and that's pretty much saying something because you know I've played about maybe 15 games on the PlayStation 4, and this is probably the second best one. Of course, it isn't as good as the last of remastered, but then yet again, that game already came out on PlayStation 3, so I can't really count that in some ways. But anywho, yeah, and just before we go, if you're wondering what my impressions are of the multiplayer, I've not played the multiplayer mode yet because I'm not focused on the story. However, I have played a bit of co-op, and it's pretty darn fun. I mean, it is a bit of a shame that you can only liberate outposts and fortresses and do radio towers. That's a bit of a shame, but still, like, the amount of crazy stuff you can get up to on co-op, it's just so fun. And yeah, if you do, and obviously with PlayStation you get the 10 keys to crack, and I highly recommend you use them because like co-op is so fun. Like, and the fact that most of the gameplay stuff transfers over to it, it's just such a good experience. So yeah, the co-op's really good. Might try multiplayer later on, but I probably will end up finishing the story first before I try the co-op. I mean the multiplayer, sorry. And then after that, that's when the review will probably come out. But yeah, that was pretty much it, guys. Thank you a lot for watching. I'm sorry this video took me so long to get out because I am aware that this game has been out for quite a long time, and I really should have got this first impressions video out a lot sooner, but it's finally here. Thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you again next time.